I know every language will incorporate adjectives into their grammar because adjectives will describe, modify, characterize, classify the word they're modifying, and they give us additional information about it. And uh, but oftentimes, though, adjectives will do even much more than that. When we think about Psalm 11 and verse 7, for the Lord is righteous, he loves righteous deed. The word righteous, ṣaddîq, is an adjective. And here it's being used in a predicate. And we're going to talk about this in our class in a minute, in a predicate. And so, for the Lord is righteous, he loves righteous deeds. So it's in this one sentence is being used both as a predicate as the Lord is righteous, and he loves righteous deeds, and adjectively or attributively talking about the deeds or being righteous. So ṣaddîq is an adjective meaning righteous, just, or in the right. Hebrew adjectives can describe people, can describe actions, can describe abstract qualities. It does here for the Lord is righteous. It's not just talking about God's character, but it really defines who he is. It's his very essence. It's his being. The Lord is righteous. And so the very significance here is that righteous in English sort of is a moral label. We basically, one is righteous, one is not. There's a moral label of their relationship. In Hebrew, ṣaddîq emphasizes conformity to the standard, to God's standard, as God always acts in line with his covenant, with his promises, with his justice. And so the psalmist calls God ṣaddîq. He's not giving some sort of attribute of characteristics of him that he's righteous, but declaring that God's actions are always right according to his own covenantal standard. And so this adjective theologically tells us something very profound about who God is. God's righteousness is not arbitrary, but it's reliable. He will not betray his own standard. He cannot abandon his covenant. And that's why the psalmist concludes with the upright shall behold his face in Psalm 11, verse 7, the second half of that. So if God is righteous, his people can trust that his justice and his promise will always hold true. And so when we feel like the world is unstable, and it is, and the world is unfair, and it is, we need to remember that the Lord is righteous. And that adjective is not just a description, but it's the very essence of being, the very promise of who he is, results in the promise of what he does. God will always act in line with his own perfect justice and covenant of love, and he cannot do otherwise. So as we dive into chapter 7 here, moving into adjectives, I think it's important to see how they really can carry a lot of theological weight and significance. It's not just something that classifies or describes or modifies, but oftentimes can give us insight into the very essence of our Creator. And the God is holy, God is righteous. These are all adjectives, and in those cases using a predicate position. So that's what we'll talk about today. And chapter 7 is dealing with adjectives.